Well, good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office on this Thursday morning. It's now the 25th day of July, 2024. A couple of things we need to talk about today. One is the Park Fire, and the other thing we'll talk about is the heat and the cooling that's coming. But first, with the Park Fire. 45,000 acres as of the latest estimate. And even as I'm recording this, I'm sure that number is higher than that as this fire is progressing even at this hour. I'm recording this around 9 o'clock in the morning, and the fire continues to burn. Keep in mind that usually fires are most active in the afternoon, but the fire continues to be very active even this morning. Let me show you how it looks. This is from an Alert Wildfire camera in the Cohasset area. And let me just do a time lapse over the last 10, 15 minutes, and you can just see how active it is. And notice these big columns that occasionally come up. And again, this is just the last 10 minutes. This fire has been burning very hot and very quickly throughout the night. And that's how, even though it started yesterday around 4:30, something like that, even just in the last, what does that make that, 15 hours, it has now gone up over 45,000 acres, making it by far the largest fire that has burned so far this year in California, and continues to burn quite hot this morning and will continue to burn quite hot as we go through the day today. So let me look at the perimeter for this. This is from Watch Duty. I'm going to start down here where the fire started. I've seen some folks that are in the Chico area that have been quite concerned about this, and rightly so. Here's Chico, and here's where the fire started. The fire started here just outside of Bidwell Park, or in Bidwell Park. And here, this is the footprint of where it started, quickly ran uphill. And then now this is the footprint, and it's a relatively skinny footprint here. It's the area highlighted in this red. The lighter shades of red on the outside those are evacuation orders. Areas in yellow are evacuation warnings. And you can see how it's continued with this footprint going farther to the north. So it's marching in this direction, going along with the wind. But a couple of things to note here. Let me zoom in on this a little bit more and look at what it is burning. If you zoom in here on Google Earth on here, you can see that this is all grassland with some occasional trees in here. There's some native oak in here, but for the most part, especially on the west side of this is mostly a grass fire, which is how it can consume so much so fast. On the east side of it, as you go farther up the hill, the vegetation does get a little bit more dense, but this is a lot more in the way of scrub. And for those of you that live in the foothills, this elevation's up around 2,000 to 2,500 feet. And so we're not talking about a lot of big timber in this area, but farther up the hill, there is. And you can also just see the terrain here. You see it would go up a slope, down a drainage, up a slope, down a drainage. And that is going to continue. Let me zoom out a little bit more. And now that it's burning into Tehama County, you can see that out ahead of it, we have just nothing more but the same. We have occasional roads there. This is actually getting into areas that are more and more wild. But as you can see, we have these little rollers with nothing but grass and brush. So that's the type of fuel that will be burning as it continues in its march steadily to the north now into Tehama County. It's still burning on the flanks a little bit, but they'll be easier for them to contain the fire on the flanks than it will be on the head, because as you can see, you can't really get aircraft into areas like this. But you can put aircraft on the flank of it, so they may be able to do retardant drops on the sides of it, but you can't really fly aircraft into the head of this. So let's talk a little bit about what the wind is going to do today. So this is the wind this morning, and this is the area where the fire is burning. And as you can see, sustained winds up around 20 miles an hour, giving that fire plenty of forward progress as it burns through this area right in here. So that's this morning, and that wind direction is going to stay the same as we go through the day today. As we get into this afternoon and this evening, the wind may decrease a little bit, and that may help out somewhat, but it is going to be another hot day with very low humidity, so the fuels will stay quite dry, and the fire will likely continue to have progress to the north as we go through the day. Winds will die down tonight. Now, during the overnight last night, the winds stayed up, but tonight the winds will die down, And then tomorrow the wind will be back. And actually, if you look farther to the south, this is Friday afternoon. This is the delta breeze, the cooling onshore breeze that's going to be bringing in cooling that I'll talk more about here in a second. But the wind direction here on the fire will stay the same. And actually, the fire may increase on Friday depending on what they've been able to do on it, because we'll actually see more wind in the area of the fire on Friday, even though the temperatures will be cooler. And then getting into early Saturday, it looks like the winds are going to be relatively flat in the area where the fire is burning. But look at how much smoke this fire is putting out. This is off the GOES this morning. And again, usually first thing in the morning, the fires aren't near as active as what we're seeing on the early morning satellites here. And you can just see how far out the smoke plume goes. It goes all the way out across Idaho. And so that's all of that fuel that's burning, all of that grass, all that brush. There is some pine in here that'll also be burning. There's also native oak, which should be okay. And there are little spots in here that are still burning, but you can see this is the area that I showed you on the alert camera. This is where the main head of the fire is, and will likely be very, very active throughout the day. Now, I do understand that there have been some structures here that have burned. I don't have a full impact on that. I've been able to assess more just in terms of where this is burning and the direction that's burning, as opposed to what has burned so far in terms of structures. But this fire is going to continue to be very active throughout the day and burning off to the north. For those of you in the Chico area that are worried about this, from what I showed you on the wind, it doesn't look as though there'll be anything to bring that fire down toward Chico. So as well as on the east side of it, it doesn't look as though there'll be much to spread it farther up the hill. So it does look as though it's going to continue in this burn pattern off to the north. As I said, there have been some structures likely impacted by this, but we'll see less and less of that as we go through the day today. Now let's talk a little bit about the heat, because the fire season really has taken off here in the last couple of weeks because of the heat. We had a pretty good let me just talk here a little bit. We did have, a pretty nice winter. We had some nice rain that lasted into the early part of May. But with this hot weather we've had during the month of July, what's likely going to end up being the hottest month we've ever seen. We've already in Sacramento seen 19 days over 100 this month. The old record was 17 days. So we've had more 100-degree days in any month we've ever seen. When you average out the high temperatures as well as the low temperatures for this month, they'll be hotter than any month we have ever seen, even though we still have a few days to go in this month. Yeah, it's that those records, it's just a matter of what those records are going to end up being. Even with cooler weather coming by this weekend, we are going to be in the hottest month we've ever seen. So that's really contributing to the fuels drying out so much faster. So that's why now, and for the next few months, every day is a fire day. It doesn't matter how strong the winds are. It doesn't matter how low the temperatures are. Every day is a potential fire day. And so that's why you have to be very careful around areas of dry grass, because any fire can start very quickly. The fuels, this hot month has just dried everything out. So every day is a potential fire day. And here's the high temperatures in downtown Sacramento. As I said, so far 19 days over 100 degrees. We've had 2, 3, 4, 5 days over 110. We've never seen more than 4 in a year. So this is just unbelievable. The average temperature, the average high is 104.4. That will come down because we'll see some cooler weather over the weekend, but we will likely still see for the first time the average temperature for a month, the average high for the month being over 100 degrees. That's pretty sure. And also the average for the month right now is 86.3. Keep in mind that's the highs and the lows. That will also be the highest we've ever seen. The old record is 81.9. So this is going to be the hottest month. So let's talk a little bit about when we are going to see some cooling. Here's this morning's. Let me make sure we're on this morning. Back this up. Back up to the beginning. Make sure. Yep. This is the right one. So we have a little trough going by to the north, but it's this little low coming in from the west that is going to increase the delta breeze on Friday. So while temperatures today will be topping 100 degrees again, probably not that much different from what we saw yesterday, we are going to see a good delta breeze on Friday. And with that trough hanging around through the weekend, this looks nice. This will do a couple of things. It'll bring temperatures down. We may even see many areas see daytime highs stay in the 80s. We will also see the threat of thunderstorms in the Sierra stay much farther to the east. And that will keep temperatures down likely through the end of the month. And it doesn't look as though we'll see the high get reestablished until maybe the end of next week. This is next Wednesday, Thursday next week, getting into the early part of August. We could see temperatures then get back up to around 100 degrees or so. But what we're mainly looking at for today is this. Yeah, the Park Fire. So still burning in parts of Butte County, but really it's on its march into Tehama County as we go through the day today, putting up that huge column of smoke. That smoke will continue to be directed to areas north of Chico and Sacramento and Marysville, but many of you will be able to see the smoke column from a long way away. We may even get some of that smoke during the early morning hours tomorrow down into the Redding area. We may see some slight light downslope winds that could carry some of the surface smoke down into Redding and Red Bluff tomorrow morning. We'll keep an eye on that. Other than that, boy, just a hot day. And not a good day for the firefighters, as well as those winds are going to continue to give that fire plenty of forward progress. So that's everything I've got for you this morning on this Thursday morning. As I mentioned, cooling is coming. I think the weekend is going to be pretty comfortable. So make it a great day. I'll talk with you later.